UUCiL, and greetings to all those of you who are worshiping online and here at the sanctuary. Today, June 28, 2026, marks the 56th year after the Stonewall Uprising, which began on June 28, 1969. Today reminds us of those series of events which prodded the LGBTQIA+ communities to continue their fight against police authorities who had been raiding gay bars for so many years. It was a rebellion, not a riot, as the police had initially called it, as a scapegoat for using their force. The Stonewall Uprising jump-started the change in the discourse around LGBTQIA+ activism in this country. Media coverage and the subsequent yearly June Pride celebrations made Stonewall popular as a pinnacle of LGBTQ+ activism for years. However, the Library of Congress cited that historians have noted that the shift in activism, if Stonewall truly represented one at all, was a shift primarily for white cisgender people, as people of color and gender nonconforming people never truly had the benefit of concealing their marginalized identities. This statement reminds me of my experience at a Creating Change conference, which is an annual event organized by the National LGBT Task Force. Has anyone here attended a Creating Change conference? No? Is this the first time you've heard of it? Okay. Well, I attended my first Creating Change conference in 2017 as a member of the Trans Seminarians cohort, which was organized by the Center for LGBT and Gender Studies and the Trans Faith and Action Network of the Freedom Center for Social Justice, which is based in North Carolina. I learned about this cohort while pursuing my Master of Divinity at Pacific School of Religion. The conference was held in Philadelphia. On my first day there, I explored the venue suites where groups of participants, depending on their gender identity, can hang out. As one who identifies as a non-binary and transgender person, I went, of course, to the transgender suite, where I saw an all-white transgender group. When I entered the room, not one of them budged. Even if I said, "Hi," they seemed to be engrossed in talking about themselves and formed a clique. So I left and went up to the people of color, lesbian and gay suite up on the next level. And lo and behold, they all welcomed me when I show up at the door as if they all knew me from Adam. They fed me with lots of food and showed me love and care. Because of this experience, I wrote and presented Trans Theology, which focused on loving yourself, caring for others in the world during the conference. Since then, I have facilitated workshops on this topic at the Trans Faith and Action Network annual retreat for non-binary and transgender folks in North Carolina. Though I skipped last year and this year because my safety and security have been at risk. Also, I enjoy the rainbow connection and communitarian spirit I have had experienced at the yearly June Pride celebrations in SF, happening today, by the way, and where I was once invited by United in Spirit to officiate a communion service on the streets, where else, of San Francisco. I think you know what the United in Spirit is all about. It's an affirming interfaith group. They affirm and celebrate our LGBTQIA+ siblings, including myself. And what stood out for me was the Transgender Pride March in 2024, when I connected with my non-binary and transgender siblings whose number is continuously decreasing every year because some, if not most of us, have been suffering from discrimination based on gender, hate crimes, sexual harassment, and other oppressive and violent acts that have hindered our full participation in life. And just about a few days, I think that was on Friday, I don't know about you if you've heard that news, when there was this transgender march in SF. The police detained a lot of them. I don't know why. Those police authorities used to be very friendly. Now they're like gone astray. These acts have adversely affected the lives of the Black and brown transgender folks whose struggles are quite similar to the dehumanizing experiences of the people in Palestine, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Sudan, in Hawaii, in Cuba, and in other exploited and marginalized countries in the world. 2 days ago, I also see this post from YK Hong, which was reposted by my fellow Interplay leader on Facebook. So I quote, "Pride was an uprising. That uprising is ongoing. Pride is a fight for Black and brown trans liberation, a free Palestine, ending the exploitation in the DR Congo, an end to the control of Sudan, indigenous sovereignty, a free Hawaii, reparations, to end big tech, a free Puerto Rico, free Cuba, an end to US militarism globally, an end to police and prisons, generative AI, surveillance, and capitalist colonialism." So if you're not fighting for all of that toward the liberation of all being, it's not really pride. So happy Pride, just to my fellow radicals. This one is for us. That's the end of the quote. The responsive reading from Julia Corbett-Hemeyer is a fitting response to YK Hong's post. As Hemeyer writes, "We answer the call of love in the face of hate as Unitarian Universalists. This love, as described by Anastasia Birosh in our call to worship, invites us to honor our interdependence with all beings in the web of all existence." Isn't that our 7th principle? To envision a world where all are free from exploitation and the smallest to the largest are protected and nurtured with care and respect, to recognize all beings as sacred and celebrated, counter all forms of oppression with justice, to cultivate change so we may grow spiritually and ethically, to know in our hearts that all people are inherently worthy and have the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion, our first EU principle. Valerie Kaur, the author of See No Stranger, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love, declares, "Revolutionary love as the call of our time, a radical, joyful practice that extends in 3 directions: to others, to our opponents, and to ourselves." Kaur adds that revolutionary love enjoins us to see no stranger, but instead look at others and say, "You are part of me I do not yet know." As Unitarian Universalists, whose principles include the inherent worth and dignity of every person and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, we can celebrate our LGBTQIA+ siblings with revolutionary love by following the 10 core practices outlined in Valerie Kaur's Revolutionary Compass. And these are, number 1, wonder, by seeing our LGBTQIA+ siblings as part of me I do not yet know. cultivating awe and openness to others' experiences. Second, grieve by sharing their pain without minimizing it, using collective mourning to build solidarity. Third is fight by protecting our non-binary and transgender siblings and all members of the LGBTQIA+ communities from harm and standing up for justice. Fourth is listen, by listening intently to understand and connect with our LGBTQIA+ siblings. Fifth is reimagine, by changing and remaking systems and institutions that can free all of us. Do you know that there are 10 corporations now that are pro-LGBTQIA+? They're like really like fostering solidarity with all of the LGBTQIA+ communities. And lo and behold, Levi's is one of them. and also my organization, where I used to held workshops with, the Freedom Center for Social Justice, is also one of those nonprofit organizations who have been supporting our LGBTQIA+ communities. And you might know some of all these, like even those climate-related nonprofit organizations, because in my paper before, I tried to connect, I love connecting the dots. I tried to connect racism, climate change stuff, and all these issues. They're all connected, and even like oppression, and yeah. So we are not, this thing about celebrating our LGBTQ plus, QIA plus communities is not separate from all the other issues at hand that we are currently involved with. 6 is breathe, by focusing on presence and mindfulness in action. 7 is push, taking bold, courageous steps that facilitate change, especially when things are getting harder and harder for us to change. We have to take this bold step to push and make courageous steps that facilitate change. And 8 is transition, building resilience and instilling hope in moving through change. 9th is love for others, by again seeing no stranger, building beloved and inclusive community. And 10th is love for opponents, choosing to love even your opponents as a path to transformation. Have you heard of I think there was a movie about sleeping with your enemies, and yeah, that kind of like things that, well, they're also part of us. They are not strangers to us, like our enemies or opponents, right? In reflecting on how to celebrate our LGBTQIA+ siblings at June Pride with revolutionary love, I found the following lines in Howard Thurman's meditation entitled "More Loving in My Heart" as a fitting reminder for us. And I quote, "I want to be more loving in my heart. It is often easy to see it with my mind and give assent to the thought of being loving. But I want to be more loving in my heart, so I must ease the tension in my heart that ejects the sharp barb, the stinging word. I want to be more loving in my heart so that through both unconscious awareness and deliberate intent, I shall be a kind and gracious human being, and I want to be more loving in my heart." And in honor of our LGBTQIA+ siblings who are boldly and fearlessly celebrating who they are at June Pride today in SF, and even here in this congregation, I am now inviting you all to dance on behalf of their aspirations, actually our aspirations, hopes, prayers, and wishes. You see, dancing, according to Vandana Hart, who is a former UN advisor and a lifelong dancer, she was trained in the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. She said that dancing, in her video, We Speak Dance, she said that dancing is a way of expressing something that we cannot say in words.